Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm Anne Marie, and this is Living Love Consciously. So, welcome. I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about today because there's just been so much going on. But I guess what I can talk about is my feed, my algorithm feed. It's just been showing me some things, especially regarding spiritual topics and things like that. And I have to say, I don't know. I honestly don't know what the truth is because I'm constantly bombarded with so much information. And I don't know if I have biases. Like, when they say go within, and things like that. I have so many, I'm pretty sure I have biases. So I'm going to veer towards one thing or another. And it may, and I think it's confusing. And there are times that I'm confused. And the times that I'm confused, I always ask myself, who am I? And what is the legacy that I want to leave here and live? Like, what do I want to live? What do I want to walk in the footsteps of? I want to walk in the footsteps of Jesus in regards to being a kind person, um, like seeing the good in people, and also recognizing that there are challenges in people, that there are things that people do that are not necessarily in the well-being of each other, the planet, or just overall. So that's what I try to do. Every day I try to practice living love, meaning I do my best to be a kind person. I do my best to, how do I do that? I may open the door for someone who seems like they need assistance. I may give someone a smile, give people eye contact who probably don't really ever get eye contact. People who probably are not acknowledged. They are the unseen peoples of society. I try to do that. If I can help a neighbor, I try to do that. If I can be a good colleague, I try to do that. And I don't do it for the sense of, oh, I'm going to get something in return. I do it because it helps me be a better person. It helps me live a better life, a life where if I'm this kind of person, I know there are other people that are like that out in the world. And I want my energy to connect more and more with those people versus people who take advantage of other people, who, just do the worst things to each other in order to climb to the top, in order to just be, the top dog, whatever it is. And I'm not trying to be about that life. And although I can understand it, I can put myself in someone else's shoes and see what would motivate somebody to do things that are just against Jesus or against the well-being of humankind. And then at the same time, some of those people really believe in what they're doing and that it is for the best. So like, population control, all these things, I don't know. But going back to the topic of my algorithm feeding me all this, there's so much out there. Oh my God, with regards to the spiritual community, what you believe, everything means, who's this, who's that. At the end of the day, does it really matter? Does it really matter? Ask yourself that. If you are doing things in humanity to make it better. And I can go into like deeper topics, but I don't want to do that because I don't think this is the appropriate time. And I don't know if I want to go there. But are you doing things for the betterment of humanity? And what are those things? And are you doing things for the betterment of you in the sense of making you a person that sees the kindness in others, making you a person that sees that helping your fellow man is more beneficial to you, to the collective, than passing them by. And I'm not saying that you have to give everyone money who you encounter that has a down and out situation. Like, for example, when I'm going to work, there's this woman who is always asking for money, and she moves from section to section depending on the time of the day. And I always look at her, and I've given her money a few times, and I always look at her. And then I remember one day somebody offered her food, and she was like, no, thank you. And it wasn't like, it was prepackaged food. And it was, I think, like a kind of like a protein bar or something like that, I can't remember. Like, anyway, it was a protein bar. And she was like, no, thank you. And I wondered, oh, wow, like she's got a relaxer. She's well kept. She doesn't look dirty as far as I can tell. And she looks well. She doesn't look mentally ill. She's well spoken. And I'm like, why is this lady in the corner asking us for money? And sometimes I'm not upset with her. I just want to understand why. Like, what's happening? That's this articulate, well-spoken, seemingly intelligent person, instead of working, is at the corner asking for money. And the thing is, somebody could have a counter argument and say, well, maybe the situation's so hard for her. She works, but she can't make ends meet. So she stands in the corner and she asks for money, but she's always there, and she moves from area to area. So it's like a job. It's a job that it seems and appears to be a job. And I'm not judging her. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just trying to understand, if you're able, if you're articulate, if you're not mentally out of your freaking mind, which some people are, and they can't function in society, and we need to help them, and they shouldn't be running around the streets rampant, just ticking time bombs, because you don't know what's going to trigger them. Because, like, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, or maybe 9 to 6 months ago, I had somebody right in front of my building who was just screaming, I'm not mentally well. I have a knife. So I was thankful that he told us that he wasn't mentally well and he had a weapon. And then this other person who was not acknowledging him, because a lot of homeless people are the unseen of our society. People, especially when you live in a big city and you see it so much, you become conditioned to it and not pay attention to it, which I think is not a good thing. But this person was screaming, I'm mentally ill. I'm not well, and I have a knife. And then this person comes, and there's like a few people walking their dogs. He's like, dogs really freak me out. Get your dog away from me, because I have a knife. And this guy's walking his 2 dogs. He's not paying attention, la-di-da-di. And he lunges at the man. And it was just like, the point to the story is, at least to this part of this tangent, is that this person needs our help. We need to acknowledge that there are people who have mental illness in our societies for whatever reason, and they need our help, and we need to figure out a way to provide help for them as much as we can. And we need to acknowledge them, because when we acknowledge what's going on with them, we're protecting ourselves as well. Because had he acknowledged what the man was saying, the man wouldn't have lunged at him, because he would have heard the man say, hey, I'm mentally ill, I have a knife, and I don't like dogs. So then that should have triggered in your mind, oh, this person's not well. They have a weapon. Let me cross the street and get out of their way. Let me call 911 or the fire department to get them some help. Something of that nature. But when you become conditioned and you tune it out, that's when you put yourself in harm's way. So we're going back to the woman that seems healthy, that is well-spoken and articulate, and she's standing and asking for money. Are we, as a society, conditioning people to just beg for money instead of conditioning? And I'm using the word conditioning. I don't know if that's the right word, but this is the word my mind is coming. instead of conditioning them to work. What are we creating? And this woman is probably in her 50s. So what are we contributing to? What are we creating generation after generation where, I don't know, where AI is coming in and that's going to probably eliminate some jobs, where tons of people are coming in that are going to be used for cheap labor. So people who are here already may not be able to get those jobs because they're going to be occupied by cheaper labor. And those people are a victim, will be a victim. But because their life is much better than it was wherever they were, it's okay. But it's not okay because they're still human beings. They still deserve a wage where they can live off. And, I was talking to somebody about this, and we were talking about like the very wealthy people that live in cities. And I'm like, okay, I understand. Like, I'm not trying to take anybody's pockets away. People work really hard for their money. And of course, there are people that cheat. Of course, there are like corruption in the system. But for the most part, it is what it is, right? At the same time, you are creating a system, and I'm talking about a big city that I live in. These same people, the wealthy who are making decisions, who are doing all this, are creating a system where the people who service them can't even afford to live in the area that their services require. Like, for example, you live in a really expensive city, you need garbage men, you need plumbers, you need electricians, you need bike messengers for all the people ordering stuff online who can't bother or don't have the time to go to the store, for food delivery. You need all these things, but all these people that are providing services for you can't afford the economy that's being created, can't afford to live in those areas. So what are we creating is the question when we vote people into office, when we follow a certain agenda, instead of following the agenda of how can we help humanity be successful by helping other humans be successful. It's very simple, but it seems like people don't want to do that because some people have a direct financial interest in keeping people extremely poor or putting a cap on how much someone can accomplish. And people will say, oh, if you work really hard, blah, 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 blah. Dude, I have worked hard all my life. And I got to say, I'm not that far than I was. Like, I remember writing in my journal and saying, this time I want to make this amount of money. Guess what? The amount of money at that time I wanted to make that I thought would make my life better, like 20 years later, I'm making it, but things are so expensive that I might as well be where I was when I was writing in my journal, trying to manifest all these things. So it's a joke. It's a joke. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. I just think that you have to just work at being a decent human. And that's the key. Whether or not you're a Christian or you follow a certain doctrine, I don't know if I don't know. Like, my husband's really religious. He goes to church religiously. He like believes everything in the Bible. And he lives in that world. And me, I'm like, okay, I believe in Jesus. I believe like Jesus wants us to take care of each other. He wants us to speak up when we see evil. He wants us to denounce evil. And I think evil is anything that just goes against you growing as a human, you having the opportunity to grow closer to God the creator of whatever that is. Anything that stops you from growing closer to that, I think is evil. Like having to work 20 jobs and not being able to take care of yourself, there's an evil energy around that. Having to work so much that you can't spend time with your family, friends, your children. There's an evil behind that. Having to be so occupied all the time that you just don't have time to enjoy this planet, its beauty, and all the promises that come with it, opportunities that come with it. I think there's an evil energy that surrounds that. That being said, I want to close this off. What do you think about the woman in her 50s who's articulate, who's well-spoken, who seems educated, whose job is now standing in the street corner and begging for money? Is it also aligned with content creators on the internet constantly asking you for money, constantly asking you to join their groups? And content creators are creating something, and if you value it, you pay for it. But the lady on the street, what is she creating? What is she doing other than standing on the street and asking for money? Like, think about that. And there's no judgment. Just think about it. How can we help this woman? Does this person want help? And what would be your solution to that? Think about that. And if you found yourself in the same place, like I try to put myself in the same shoes, and I don't want to be, I know, that's scary to me. Like having to stand and beg people for money, that sounds really scary for me. And I do not want to have my life be in that situation. And this is one of the reasons I started this channel to talk about living love consciously, but I hope for it to become a legacy, something that can generate income for me, a content creator, right? Something that can generate some kind of income for me that should the economy turn, should things just go to shit, I can earn some kind of living by teaching and sharing my experiences as a human on this planet. All right. And maybe, I don't know what I have to say, no one gives a shit about, because the algorithm, nobody has, I've been doing this for 3 months now, whenever you watch this video, and nobody has subscribed to my channel. I've only got 13 views, and I have 10 videos up. So my watch time is 1 minute and 18 seconds. So I don't know, but I'm not giving up. I think when I, go within myself and try to have discussions, I'm told I have something to say, within me. I don't know if that's narcissistic. I don't know, because I'm not a person who likes to talk all the time unless I have something of value to add to the conversation. I'm a really great listener in that, that's the opposite of that. So maybe this is a skill for me to learn how to be a better speaker. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you thought about the woman, what you thought about, what you think about acknowledging the people who we pass by, who are unseen in society, and how we can help each other to just be better humans, and what do you define as evil in the world? All right. I love you. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you again. Bye.